That's exactly why you are going to abandon Obsidian in the first week that you start using it. This most people do, right? Because no one teaches you how to build the foundations first. And then you look at the empty screen, yes? And empty screen is good because it's not intimidating at all, but it's actually provides space for thinking. It clears up your mind a little bit. There are two questions that you want to ask when you write standalone node in Obsidian. Is this an idea I want to think about, think with? Second question is, if I find this 6 months from now, do I still understand what I'm talking about? You don't need folders, actually. I don't know why they even have this ability to create folders. It's just a waste of time to group them in any way. Every Obsidian tutorial starts by showing you linking and graph view, which is quite spectacular, but actually that's exactly why you are going to abandon Obsidian in the first week that you start using it. This most people do, right? The real problem isn't that Obsidian is like extremely complex or something like that, but just because no one teaches you how to build the foundations first. So here's what actually happening. You download Obsidian, you get excited by it, you start creating nodes, you start linking them in different ways, and you kind of realize day after day after day of actively using it that the system becomes increasingly confusing, and it becomes harder and harder to actually find things. Yeah. So I decided to record this video because a few people also asked me about this and how you can set up Obsidian in a very basic way, how to not get lost in it. And I'm recording this for a few friends, and also I think it could be a good idea if we all watch it and then exchange our ideas about how we use it. Yeah. Hello, I'm Zhenya. I'm a project manager and information designer, and I'm genuinely interested in systems that do not work. And one system that frequently doesn't work is our ability to think systematically, organize our thinking about specific ideas, and writing as a consequence or like as a tool for it. Yeah. And here where Obsidian comes really big front and center, because lots of people use Obsidian because it's an open source project which is quite popular, and it's quite reasonable to see why. Yeah, because it's quite easy to jumpstart, and it's good thing to use generally. Yeah. In the next few minutes, let's go through the basics: how to install it, how to look around it, and what is the interface, and how we should be thinking about our nodes. Yeah. So point one, essential interface setup. So you go to obsidian.mg website. It's just here, and I trust you know your computer enough to be able to download it and install it, and it's free if you just use the basic Obsidian software. It's free, and you already see by looking at the homepage it becomes confusing because it shows you the graph, it shows you some sort of sophisticated formatting, some sort of file system here, and it can be starts to be like a mobile phone. It starts to be feeling a bit intimidating. Yeah, but it doesn't have to be. Because when you go to Obsidian and imagine you don't have anything open, you go to File, Open Vault, and essentially what I'm doing here is that I have this folder on my computer with a bunch of files, but it doesn't have to be. It could be an empty folder. Yeah, and what you do in Obsidian once you install it, you go to Open Vault, and you want to open your folder as Vault. Basically what it does, it's for the purpose of this demo, I have sample Vault. Yeah, you open it, and what it actually does, it's whatever folder you have on your computer, it basically reads it with all the text files inside it. It's basically just text files. Yeah, they're called MG because they have some basic formatting, but you can actually see them. You can open them in any text editor. Yeah, but what Obsidian does, it kind of organizes them. And this is the important point, when you open it, you get rid of everything. Yeah, so basically you collapse this, you go File, New Node, and then you look at the empty screen. Yes, because this is your new node, and empty screen is good because it's not intimidating at all, but it's actually provides space for thinking. Yeah, it clears up your mind a little bit. And then once you stare at the white space long enough, you will be able to generate ideas in a more free-flowing fashion. And once when you see words appearing on your screen, you will understand much more about what is it you're trying to think through. Yeah. And this brings us to the second point. But before we go to the second point, I have to tell you that if you like this kind of videos and you want to support the free education movement, you need to like and subscribe, enable notifications so that you don't miss any of our future updates, and you tell others about things that you learn. Yeah, that's the most important part. So, okay, so now a word about standalone nodes. Yeah. Essentially, there are two questions that you want to ask when you write standalone node in Obsidian. You always begin with a question: is this an idea I want to think about, think with, going forward? Which means that essentially you need to try to delete as many ideas as possible as in the very beginning. Yeah, like nip them in the butt. Yeah. So if you watch something on YouTube, you read a book, you get a lot of you speak to someone, you get a lot of ideas, you write them down, but you really need to evaluate if there's something that you want to continue thinking with. Yeah. If you don't, then you just get rid of it. And then the second question is, if I find this 6 months from now, will I still understand what I'm talking about? Yeah? Because context changes and the idea, what you have in your node, needs to be a standalone thing. Yeah, that's the second important part. So you always build the foundation with like standalone things before you start thinking. And then once you get familiar with the empty screen, you can click on this button right here. And this brings us to the third point: smart organization. Yeah. So when you click on this button on the left side of the interface of Obsidian, you will see everything you wrote. And here is also important thing you want to learn about Obsidian straight away, is that you don't need folders. Actually, I don't know why they actually even have this ability to create folders, because and I'm going to link down below, there's a video that explains how the creators of Obsidian use it, is that basically they never use any folders at all, because and you will understand once you start using it more and more, you understand why. Yeah, because essentially you learn your nodes become standalone ideas to such an extent that you actually don't need to group them. It's just a waste of time to group them in any way. And instead what you do, you learn different ways of accessing your ideas. And GraphView, obviously you can go to GraphView, you can click on this link, and then you can see all the links, and you can see the colors because they are tagged in different way. But it's not the only way of seeing clusters of your ideas. Yeah, you can also create, for example, different types of filters, filtered views of your nodes. You can search in different ways. Yeah, and that's is seen to be as a more productive way of working with your ideas, rather than trying to group them into folders, because grouping them into folders kind of crystallizes them in a specific structure that you often do not want. But also, yeah, I'm gonna provide you with some interesting ideas down below in the description. For example, Tiago Fortes para method that allows you to to group your nodes in a specific way, but fundamentally you don't have to. Yeah, and probably you shouldn't for the first years and years of using it. Okay, yeah, and that's actually we're gonna talk more about it. There's like a trilogy. We create like a trilogy of how to use Obsidian in a more research-based way in terms of Sleepbox method that was developed by sociologist Nicholas Luhmann, and I think that's how the original Obsidian was developed as well. You can watch them here and let me know. And so in this video, what we covered is like the basic installation, the interface, creating the first empty node and thinking about it, how to decide whether to make a node or not. And the third is, yeah, grouping ideas versus not grouping, categorizing, etc. Let me know what you think. And if you are not sure which part of learning journey you're on, please go to this in the description. There's going to be a link to the online form that you're going to fill out. It's going to take you less than 60 seconds to fill out. It's like a few questions, and we're going to email you the PDF with a system of self organization of your learning, yeah, which is quite helpful. So kind of based on your answers, we provide help with how to structure your own thinking about your learning. See you later.